Hello Warhammer fans, greetings denizens of the old world, welcome to 9-Inch Charge. Today, we're going to take a dive into the lore of the Warhammer Fantasy Battles universe. Specifically, we're going to be looking at an overview of each of the major factions that make up this complex and fascinating world. From the human kingdoms of the Empire and Bretonnia, to the mystical and enigmatic High Elves, to the brutal and savage hordes of Chaos and Orcs, each faction in Warhammer has its unique history, culture and strengths. We'll explore the towering fortresses of the Dwarfs, the twisted machinations of the Skaven, and the dark and dangerous forests of the Wood Elves. We'll delve into the ancient and arcane lore of the Llizardmen, the deadly assassins of the Darek Elves, and the treacherous horde of the Beastmen. We'll learn about the shadowy and mysterious forces of Chaos and the terrifying power of the Undead Legions. So sit back, grab a drink, and get ready to discover the rich and immersive world of Warhammer Fantasy Battles. Let's get started. The Warhammer Fantasy world is a dark and gritty setting. It is set in a world that is similar to our own, but with a fantastical twist. The world is populated by various races including humans, dwarves, elves, orcs, and many others, each with their unique cultures, abilities, and histories. The setting is rife with conflict, with many factions vying for power and dominance. At the heart of the world is the Old World, a land of medieval kingdoms and city-states that are constantly at war. The Empire, for example, is beset on all sides by enemies including orcs and goblins, undead armies, and the Chaos hordes. The Elves of Ulthuan, meanwhile, are locked in a never-ending battle with the Dark Elves of Naggaroth. Magic is a potent force in the Warhammer world, and wizards are powerful figures who can shape reality to their will. However, magic can also be unpredictable and dangerous, and those who dabble in it too much risk madness or worse. Various factions have access to different types of magic. Some, like the Elves, are highly skilled at magic, while others, like the Dwarfs, are highly resilient to it. It is a world of endless conflict and adventure, where heroes and villains clash in epic battles, and the fate of nations hangs in the balance. Though one of the shortest-lived races, and particularly vulnerable to the lures and corruptions of chaos, men are also the preeminent race of the world. With the collapse of the great empires of the elves and dwarves, the nations of man have steadily grown in power and size. Men are the most numerous and powerful race in the old world, and their cities are large and well fortified. Today, only men who live upon the steeps north of the old world can rightly be called barbarians. The rest have multiplied and formed powerful nations. Some have built sprawling cities that have become centres of learning and prosperity, while fortified towns and farmsteads make man's claim to the wild areas of the world. The two main factions of men in Warhammer Fantasy Battles are the Empire and Bretonnia. The Empire is the largest and most powerful of all the realms in the old world. It lies between the World's Edge Mountains and the sea, and encompasses all the lands north of the Grey Mountains and south of the nation of Kislev in the icy north. The capital city of Altdorf is located in the province of Reichland. The Empire has a rich history dating back to the time of Sigmar Heldenhammer, the legendary founder and first emperor. The Empire is a complex society with a mix of feudal and more modern elements. Nobles and knights hold significant power, but there is also a strong middle class of merchants, craftsmen and scholars. The Empire's religion centres around Sigmar, who is revered as a god by many of its citizens. The Empire's aesthetic draws on both medieval and Renaissance styles, with an emphasis on armour, heraldry and ornate architecture. Its troops are often seen wearing plate armour and wielding swords, spears and crossbows. In battle, the Empire is a versatile faction that combines infantry, cavalry, artillery and magic to achieve victory. They are known for their disciplined formations and their use of gunpowder weapons, which give them a technological edge over many of their opponents. Standout units include the fearsome steam tank, which is essentially a heavily armoured locomotive that can plough through enemy lines, and the versatile handgunners who can rain down deadly fire from a distance. The Empire's activities are varied and far-reaching as it seeks to maintain its position as the dominant human faction in the old world. It is often engaged in conflicts with neighbouring factions such as the Greenskins, the Undead Legions of the Vampire Counts, and the Forces of Chaos. Additionally, the Empire is heavily involved in trade and commerce, with many of its cities acting as hubs for international trade and industry. The faction also places a strong emphasis on education and scholarship, with its universities and academies producing some of the world's finest thinkers and inventors. The kingdom of Bretonnia lies to the southwest of the empire between the Grey Mountains and the Middle Sea. To its south lies the vast forest of Athel Loren, home to the only permanent community of elves left in the Old World. Bretonnia is a faction that is inspired by Arthurian legend and medieval France. Its society is structured around the feudal system with a king at the top and a network of lords, knights and peasants below him. The people of Bretonnia are deeply religious and honour the Lady of the Lake, a mystical figure that is said to guide their actions and protect their lands. The Bretonnian aesthetic draws heavily from medieval French culture with an emphasis on knights, chivalry and heraldry. Its troops are often seen wearing elaborate suits of armour and wielding lances, swords and other traditional weapons. The faction's heraldry is also a key part of its identity, with each lord and knight having their own unique coat of arms. In battle, Bretonnia is a faction that relies heavily on cavalry and powerful heroes. Its knights are among the most skilled and deadly in the Old World, often charging into battle with great fervour and honour. Bretonnia's archers and foot soldiers are less impressive, but can still play an important role in battles. Some standout units in the Bretonnian army include the Grail Knights, who are said to have been blessed by the Lady of the Lake and are among the most powerful cavalry in the game. The Pegasus Knights are also a formidable force, able to fly over enemy lines and strike from unexpected angles. The Green Knight is a unique hero who is said to be an immortal champion of the Lady of the Lake and can appear on the battlefield at any time to aid his Bretonnian allies. Bretonnian activities are largely focused on defending its lands from external threats and maintaining its knightly traditions. The faction is often in conflict with neighbouring factions such as the Greenskins, the Undead Legions of the Vampire Counts, and the Forces of Chaos. Additionally, Bretonnia places a strong emphasis on chivalry and honour, with its knights competing for glory and prestige on the battlefield. The faction has a deep respect for the land and its people, with many of its lords and knights striving to protect their subjects and maintain order in their territories. The Dwarfs are a proud and ancient race of short, stout warriors who hail from the mountainous regions of the Old World. The society is built around a system of clans, and they are governed by a High King who represents the interests of his people. Dwarves are deeply religious and revere their ancestors, who they believe are watching over them from the afterlife. Their religion centers around the belief that if they live honorable lives, they'll be reunited with their ancestors in the afterlife. This belief is reflected in their funeral practices, which involve burying their dead in elaborate tombs beneath the mountains. The Dwarfs' aesthetic draws heavily from Norse and Celtic influences, with an emphasis on intricate metalwork, beards and braided hair. Their troops are often seen wearing heavily armoured plate mail and wielding axes, hammers and other traditional weapons. The faction's architecture is also a key part of its identity, with its cities and strongholds carved deep into the mountains themselves. In battle, the Dwarves are a resilient faction that relies heavily on defence and firepower. Their troops are highly disciplined and well trained and often fight in tightly packed formations that make use of shields and other defensive measures. The Dwarves also have access to powerful artillery such as the Grudge Thrower and the Cannon, which can wreak havoc on enemy formations. Some standout units in the Dwarf army include the Ironbreakers, who are among the most heavily armoured infantry in the game, and the Hammerers, who are highly skilled melee fighters with devastating attacks. The Dwarves also have access to powerful heroes such as the Rune Lord and Thane, who can provide buffs and support to their troops. The Gyrocopter and Gyrobomber are flying war machines that can harass enemy units and disrupt enemy formations. The Dwarfs' activities are largely focused on mining and crafting as they seek to uncover precious gems and metals deep beneath the mountains. They also place a strong emphasis on maintaining their honour and avenging perceived slights, as their grudges are recorded in great detail in the Book of Grudges. The Dwarves are often in conflict with the Greenskins, who they see as their natural enemies, as well as the Forces of Chaos and other hostile factions. Additionally, the Dwarves have a deep respect for their trade partners, particularly the humans of the Empire, with whom they maintain a strong relationship based on mutual respect and shared interests. The Elves are one of the oldest of all the races, steeped in magic and held in awe by the people of the Old World. Though few Old Worlders realise it, their society, language and even some of their cities are all built upon the foundations laid down by the Elves when the world was young. The once unified race of Elves is now split into three unique factions after the Sundering, which was the great schism that split the Elves into their separate and distinct nations. The High Elves are an ancient and highly cultured race that hails from the island kingdom of Ulthuan. The society is built around a system of nobility, with the Phoenix King serving as supreme ruler and a council of princes advising him. The High Elves worship a pantheon of gods, with belief in the god Azurian being central to their beliefs, as he is the creator, protector, and maintainer of the world. The High Elves' aesthetic has an emphasis on flowing robes, intricate patterns, and graceful forms. Their troops are often seen wearing highly detailed armour and wielding elegant weapons such as spears, bows, and swords. The faction's architecture is also highly stylized, with sweeping curves and elaborate filigree work. In battle, High Elves use a mix of elite troops to strike at their enemies. They prefer to strike from a distance, using their archers to weaken the enemy before charging with their cavalry and elite infantry units. They are also adept at using magic to bolster their troops, heal their wounds, and devastate their enemies with powerful spells. The High Elves have a number of standout units, including the Phoenix Guard, an elite unit of heavily armoured infantry renowned for their steadfastness in battle. The Dragon Princes, a powerful cavalry unit that rides into battle on armoured war horses capable of devastating enemy formations with their charge. And the powerful Sun Mage, one of the most potent spellcasters and magic users in all of the Warhammer world, who rides to battle upon a legendary Sun Dragon. The High Elves are engaged in a number of activities to protect their homeland and maintain the balance of power in the world. They are locked in a bitter struggle with their ancient enemies, the Dark Elves, who have sought to subjugate and destroy them at every turn. The High Elves work to strengthen their alliances with other races, particularly the humans of the Empire, who they see as valuable allies in the fight against chaos and evil. In addition, the High Elves pursue their artistic and cultural pursuits, creating beautiful works of art and magical artifacts that are sought after by other races in the world. They also delve deeply into the mysteries of magic, seeking to unlock its secrets and harness the power to protect the world from darkness and destruction. The High Elves remain steadfast in their duty to protect the world and maintain the balance between the forces of order and chaos. The Dark Elves are a twisted and malevolent race who hail from the cold land of Naggaroth in the New World. They are known for their exceptional skill in battle and their mastery of dark magic and their brutal tactics. Dark Elf society is divided into a number of powerful families, each vying for supremacy and seeking to outmaneuver their rivals through any means necessary, including betrayal and assassination. The ruling class of Dark Elves is led by the Witch King, who holds absolute power over his subjects. The Dark Elves worship the god Cain, who represents murder, war, and bloodshed. Dark Elf architecture is characterized by its dark, gothic elements and its focus on blood sacrifice. Their buildings are often made of black stone with sharp, angular lines and gruesome adornments such as skulls and chains. Their clothing and armor are similarly dark and often adorned with spikes and chains and designed to strike fear into their enemies. In battle, the Dark Elves rely heavily on their skill in melee combat, using their elite infantry and cavalry units to carve through enemy formations. They are also skilled in the use of dark magic, which they use to augment their troops or devastate their enemies. The Dark Elves are infamous for their use of poisoned weapons, which can quickly bring down even heavily armoured foes. Standout units in the Dark Elf army include the Executioners, an elite infantry armed with two-handed swords that can decimate enemy units. They have the Killing Blow ability, which represents their skill at decapitating their foes. The Blackguard of Naggarond is an elite infantry unit heavily armoured, wielding halberds, who serve as the personal bodyguard of the Witch King. And Cold One Knights, a powerful cavalry unit mounted on Cold Ones, large reptilian beasts that can charge through enemy lines and trample their foes. Dark Elves are constantly engaged in activities to further their own interests, including raiding coastlines of other lands to capture slaves, assassinating their rivals within their own society, and waging wars against their many enemies. They are particularly interested in acquiring magical artifacts and knowledge which they can use to increase their power and influence. The Dark Elves have been waging a long and bitter war against their ancient enemies, the High Elves. They are also involved in skirmishes with the forces of chaos, who they see as a potential threat to their own ambitions. In addition, they continue to engage in piracy and slaving activities, capturing prisoners and selling them into a brutal life of a Dark Elf slave. The Dark Elves remain focused on their power and expansion, seeking to extend their influence across the world and subjugate those who stand in their way. The last of the elven races is the Wood Elves of Athel Loren. They are a reclusive and enigmatic faction who reside deep within the forest and have little interaction with the outside world, and are known for their exceptional archery skills, their mastery of stealth and ambush tactics, and their use of forest magic. They are fiercely protective of their home and are led by a powerful sorceress, Ariel, who is the incarnation of the elven goddess of life. Their clothing and armour are made from natural materials such as leather and woven grass and adorned with leaves, vines and feathers. They often wear masks and paint their faces with intricate patterns to blend into their surroundings. The Wood Elves are a highly mobile army, relying on their speed and agility to outmaneuver and outflank their enemies. They excel in ranged combat, using their deadly archers and scouts to pick off enemies from a distance. They also have access to powerful forest magic which they use to buff their own troops and hinder their enemies. The Wood Elves have a number of standout units, including Way Watchers, elite archers who can move and shoot with incredible speed and accuracy, making them deadly snipers, Wild Riders, fast and hard-hitting cavalry who can charge through enemy formations and disrupt their lines, and Tree Men, massive and ancient forest spirits who can crush enemy units with their massive limbs and who are nearly impervious to harm. The Wood Elves are fiercely protective of their forest homes and will go to great lengths to defend them from all intruders. They are constantly engaged in guerrilla warfare against the forces of Chaos, Greenskins and other enemies who seek to destroy the forest. The Wood Elves have occasionally formed alliances with other races such as the High Elves when their interests align. The Wood Elves are a secretive and unpredictable force in the Warhammer Fantasy world, and are feared by their enemies for their ability to strike from the shadows and disappear back into the forest. The Llizardmen are an ancient race of reptilians. They are a highly organised society with a deeply ingrained religious belief in their role as the protectors of the world against the forces of chaos. Their society is highly stratified, with different castes of Llizardmen occupying specific roles within their society. At the top of Llizardman society are the Slann, ancient and powerful beings. The Slann are highly intelligent and possess incredible magical abilities. They are revered by the rest of the Llizardman society as living embodiments of the will of the Old Ones, the mysterious beings who created the world, and the Llizardmen themselves. The Llizardmen's religion centres around their reverence for the Old Ones and their belief that it is their duty to carry out the will of the Old Ones in protecting the world from chaos. They have a highly complex calendar that they use to perform intricate magical rituals at specific times in order to maintain the balance of the world and prevent the forces of chaos from gaining the upper hand. The Llizardman homeworld of Lustria is filled with thick forest and jungle, and aesthetically the Llizardmen are inspired by the Mayan and Inca civilizations. They wear intricate armour and wield powerful weapons, often adorned with ornate decorations that represent their religious beliefs. Their cities and temples are made of stone and are highly ornate and intricately decorated with depictions of the Old Ones and other important figures from Llizardmen history. In gameplay, the Llizardmen are a highly versatile faction. They have a wide range of units including heavily armoured Saurus warriors, fast-moving skinks, and powerful monsters like the Stegodon and Carnosaur. They also have access to powerful magic, allowing them to buff their units and deal devastating damage to their enemies. The Llizardmen playstyle is focused on defense and outlasting their opponents, using their tough units to hold the line, while the more specialized units strike from unexpected angles. Some standout units include the Temple Guard, elite warriors who are fiercely loyal to their Slann mage priests, the Croxigors, massive reptilian brutes who excel at breaking enemy lines, and the Chameleon Skinks, highly skilled scouts who can move unseen through enemy territory. The Slann themselves are also incredibly powerful units, able to cast powerful spells that can turn the tide of battle. In terms of their activities, the Llizardmen are primarily focused on defending the world from the forces of chaos. They are often seen fighting alongside other factions against the armies of chaos, and they are known for undertaking powerful magical rituals to protect the world. Additionally, Llizardmen have been known to venture out into the world in search of lost artifacts or to confront threats to their society. Orcs and Goblins are a brutal and savage race. They are a loosely organised society with a strong emphasis on warfare and conquest. Orcs and Goblins are known for their love of violence and their complete disregard for anything resembling civilization. At the heart of Orc and Goblin society are the twin gods Gork and Mork, who are believed to be the embodiment of their race's desire for violence and destruction. Gork is the god of brutal cunning, while Mork is the god of being cunningly brutal. Orcs and Goblins believe that Gork and Mork are constantly fighting each other, and that their own battles and victories are simply reflections of this eternal struggle. Aesthetically, Orcs and Goblins are known for their rough, brutal appearance. Orcs are large, muscular creatures with rough green skin and massive jaws, while Goblins are smaller, wiry creatures with pointed ears and a more mischievous appearance. Both races favour crude armour and weapons adorned with crude symbols of their gods or other important figures in their mythology. In gameplay, the Orcs and Goblins are a highly aggressive faction. They have a wide range of units including heavily armoured Orc warriors, fast-moving Goblin wolf riders, and powerful units like the River Trolls. They also have access to powerful magic, allowing them to buff their units or deal devastating damage to their enemies. The Orcs and Goblins playstyle is focused on aggression and overwhelming force, using their tough units to smash through enemy lines and overwhelm their opponents with sheer numbers. Some standout units include Black Orcs, elite warriors who are fiercely loyal to their war bosses, the Squig Hoppers, fast-moving and unpredictable units that can move quickly across the battlefield, and the Night Goblins, sneaky and cunning units that excel at ambushing their enemies, trapping them in nets and releasing wild fanatics into enemy ranks, disrupting them. Orc war bosses themselves are also incredibly powerful units, able to inspire their troops and deal devastating damage in combat. In terms of their activities in the world, Orcs and Goblins are primarily focused on conquest and expansion. They are often seen raiding and pillaging the lands of other races, looking for opportunities to prove their strength and crush their enemies. They are known for their love of fighting in large chaotic battles and will often join in the wars of other factions if it means having a chance to fight in even larger battles. The Ogre Kingdoms are a massive race of carnivorous humanoids who inhabit the mountains and tundras of the Warhammer Fantasy world. They are a nomadic society, constantly on the move in search for food and plunder. Ogre society is based around the consumption of meat. The bigger and more exotic the creature, the better. Ogres are also known for their love of gold and jewels, which they hoard and display as symbols of their wealth and power. In terms of religion, ogres worship a deity known as the Great Maw. The Great Maw is both a god of hunger and a literal entity, a massive maw that opens in the earth and devours everything in its path. The ogres believe that when they die, their souls are consumed by the Great Maw, granting them a place in the afterlife. Aesthetically, ogres are massive, hulking creatures. They wear simple clothing and armour made from animal hides, bones, and scrap metal. In gameplay, the Ogre Kingdoms are a highly aggressive faction focused on overwhelming their opponents with sheer strength and brute force. They have a wide range of units, including massive monsters like the Stonehorn and the Rhinox, as well as heavily armoured units like the Iron Gut and the Man-Eater. Ogres are also known for their powerful magic, which they channel through their shamans. Some standout units include the Iron Guts, elite warriors armed with massive clubs, the Lead Belchers, ogres that carry powerful cannons into battle, and the Mournfang Cavalry, heavily armoured ogres mounted on giant mounts known as Rhinoxes. Ogres themselves are also incredibly tough and powerful and able to absorb massive amounts of damage and deal devastating blows in return. In terms of their activities, the Ogre Kingdoms are primarily focused on raiding and pillaging. They will often attack small settlements and caravans looking for food and other valuable items. Ogres are known for their mercenary work, offering their services to other factions in exchange for food and treasure. They are often employed due to their sheer size and strength, using their massive strength to batter down castle walls and other fortifications. The Skaven are a race of rat men who live in the dark, labyrinthine tunnels beneath the Warhammer Fantasy world. They are a secretive and cunning society, constantly scheming and plotting against each other and their enemies. Skaven society is divided into a number of different clans, each with their own unique characteristics and strengths. These clans include the Skye clan, which specialises in technology and science, the Eshin clan, which focuses on assassination and stealth, and the Moulder clan, which breeds monsters and other terrifying creatures. In terms of religion, the Skaven worship the Horned Rat, a deity of disease, decay, and vermin. The Horned Rat is a fickle and capricious god, demanding the constant offerings and sacrifices from his followers. Aesthetically, the Skaven are a horde of diseased rat-like creatures with sharp teeth, long tails, and scruffy fur. They wear tattered clothing and armour made from scavenged metals and often wield weapons made from scavenged scrap metal or sharpened bones. In gameplay, the Skaven are a highly versatile and unpredictable faction with access to a wide range of units and abilities. They are known for their powerful magic, which they channel through their Grey Seers. They also have access to powerful ranged weapons, including warp fire throwers and warplock Jezzails, and deadly melee units like storm vermin and rat ogres. Some standout units include the Skaven Assassins, deadly killers who excel at taking out key enemy units. The Plague Monks, Skaven warriors who are immune to disease and able to spread deadly plagues to their enemies, and the Hellpit Abomination, a massive creature created by the Moulder clan that is almost impossible to kill. In terms of their activities, the Skaven are known for their love of treachery and subterfuge. They will often infiltrate enemy cities and armies using stealth and cunning to sow chaos and undermine their opponents. They are also known for their love of experimentation, often subjecting their own kind to horrific mutations and transformations in order to create new and more powerful creatures to use in battle. The people of the Old World live in constant fear of chaos. To them, it is an evil eating away at their society and creating armies on their borders, a destructive force subservient only to bizarre and cruel dark gods. To the far north of the Old World lie the realms of chaos, the breeding grounds of the mutated monsters and the refuge of roaming warbands. Very few Old Worlders have ever been to the realms of chaos, but tales speak of a land of perpetual darkness lit only by monumental pillars of flame. Myths tell of days that run backwards and a land where the great champions from the past times still fight on, trapped in a timeless world of eternal battle. Stories containing countless other perversions of time and space that change and mutate in unpredictable ways can be heard in many Old World taverns. From this nightmare region, the armies of chaos sweep down. As armies move south, the realm of chaos grows, fed by the slaughter of battle and wanton destruction and the terror of the chaos army's foes. The land itself is changed and twisted. It becomes absorbed into the horrific chaos wastes, the blasted lands surrounding the realms of chaos. In Warhammer Fantasy, there are 3 distinct chaos factions, the first of which are the Warriors of Chaos. The Warriors of Chaos are a faction in Warhammer Fantasy that worship the Chaos gods and seek to bring about their apocalypse. They are a highly militaristic society made up of powerful and ruthless warriors who are driven by the desire for power and glory. Warriors of Chaos society is based around the concept of personal strength and martial prowess. They value strength, courage and cunning above all else, and their society is highly competitive and cutthroat. Warriors of Chaos are divided into different marks based on which of the Chaos gods they worship and draw their power from. In terms of religion, the Warriors of Chaos worship the 4 Chaos gods, Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle and Slaanesh. Each god represents different aspects of chaos such as violence, change, decay and excess. Aesthetically, the Warriors of Chaos are a dark and foreboding army clad in heavy armour wielding massive weapons. They are covered in spikes and other gruesome decorations and often wear skulls and other body parts of their enemies as trophies. In gameplay, the Warriors of Chaos are a highly aggressive and powerful faction with a wide range of units designed to deal a massive amount of damage. They have powerful melee units like the Chaos Warriors and the Chosen, as well as monstrous creatures like the Chaos Spawn. They also have access to powerful magic which they channel through their sorcerers and other spellcasters. Some standout units include the Chaos Knights, heavily armoured cavalry who are almost unstoppable on the charge, and the Chaos War Shrine, a massive mobile altar that grants powerful buffs to nearby units. In terms of activities, the Warriors of Chaos are focused on spreading chaos and destruction throughout the world. They will often launch raids and invasions against enemy settlements looking to conquer and subjugate their enemies. They are also known for their love of bloodshed and violence and will seek out powerful foes to test their mettle in battle. The Daemons of Chaos are a faction in the Warhammer Fantasy universe that hail from the realm of chaos. They are malevolent creatures that seek to corrupt and destroy all that is good in the world. The Daemons of Chaos have no society as such, but they do have a hierarchy of power with the greater demons at the top and the lesser demons at the bottom. The Daemons of Chaos are spawned from the raw energies of the realm of chaos where they exist as a formless mass of energy. They are brought into the physical world through the power of dark magic, the summoning rituals of mortal spellcasters, and the will of the chaos gods themselves. Each demon has its own unique appearance, but they all share a twisted otherworldly aesthetic. In terms of playstyle, the Daemons of Chaos are a highly offensive army with a focus on melee combat and powerful magic. They have a variety of units that excel in close combat, including hulking greater demons like the Bloodthirster and the Lord of Change. These greater demons are the standout units for the faction, towering over the battlefield and striking fear into the hearts of their enemies. The Daemons of Chaos are a highly active faction, constantly seeking to spread chaos and destruction wherever they go. They often act as the agents of the chaos gods, carrying out their dark will in the mortal world. They are known to launch devastating raids and invasions on mortal kingdoms, seeking to corrupt and destroy all in their path. The Beastmen are a faction in the Warhammer Fantasy universe that are half-man, half-beast creatures driven by a primal lust for blood and war. They live in loose tribes deep in the forests and mountains of the old world and are constantly seeking to assert their dominance over other races. The society of Beastmen is primitive and tribal, with each tribe led by a powerful warlord. They are highly territorial and fiercely protective of their lands, often launching raiding parties to attack nearby human settlements. The Beastmen worship the gods of chaos, whom they try to please with their strength and savagery. In terms of aesthetic, the Beastmen have a wild and untamed appearance with fur, horns and hooves, and a ferocious bestial appearance. They wear rugged furs and hides adorned with the bones and teeth of their enemies. The playstyle of the Beastmen is highly aggressive with a focus on melee combat and ambush tactics. They have a variety of units that excel in close combat, including the powerful Minotaurs and the fast-moving Centaurs. The Beastmen are also highly skilled in ambush tactics, often setting traps to their enemies and launching surprise attacks. The standout units for the Beastmen include the powerful Gorbel, a monstrous creature with devastating melee attacks, and the Bray Shaman, who can cast powerful spells and summon reinforcements onto the battlefield. The main adversaries of the Beastmen are the human kingdoms of the old world, who see them as a savage and dangerous creature that must be eradicated. The Beastmen in turn view humans as weak, inferior beings ripe for the taking. The activities of the Beastmen are centered around raiding and pillaging as they seek to expand their territories and assert their dominance over other races. They often launch sudden attacks on human settlements, taking captives and looting everything in sight. They are also known to ally themselves with the forces of chaos, such as the Warriors of Chaos and the Demons of Chaos, in their never-ending quest for blood and glory. An undead army is a horrific thing to behold. Hordes of skeletons and zombies walk resolutely forward, bones rattling, dry flesh creaking, corroded war gear scraping and clanking. The smell of death hangs over the army like a cloud of contagion. The air is full of grave dust and the acrid stench of mummified flesh. Plucked from their stony tombs, angry wights raise their ancient weapons. Spirits prowl like shadows amongst their ranks, powerful wraiths and ethereal wailing banshees. There are two main factions of undead in Warhammer Fantasy, the first of which are the Vampire Counts. The Vampire Counts are a faction in the Warhammer Fantasy universe that are undead creatures ruled by powerful vampire lords. They live in the darkness of ancient castles and tombs, seeking to expand their power and dominate the mortal world. The society of the Vampire Counts is based on a hierarchy of power, with the vampire lords at the top and the lesser undead at the bottom. The vampire lords rule over their lands with an iron grip, using their undead minions to enforce their will. They are also known to use their powers of seduction to turn mortal subjects into willing thralls. In terms of aesthetic, the Vampire Counts have a gothic and macabre appearance with pale skin and dark flowing robes. They are often adorned with gaudy jewellery and ornate armour, a reflection of their once human nobility. The playstyle of the Vampire Counts is focused on a use of magic and undead minions. Their armies are comprised of a variety of undead units ranging from lowly skeletons to powerful vampire knights. The Vampire Counts also have access to powerful magic spells which can be used to heal their undead minions and unleash devastating attacks on their enemies. The army is centered around the powerful Vampire Lord, a devastating melee fighter with access to powerful spells, and the hulking Terrorgeist, a monstrous creature with deadly ranged attacks. However, if the Vampire Lord is ever killed in battle, with the absence of his necromantic powers, the army begins to crumble. The activities of the Vampire Counts are centered around expanding their power and dominating the mortal world. They often launch raids on nearby human settlements, seeking to increase their armies and spread their influence. Their immortality and undeath sees that their conquest for power and domination is never-ending. And lastly, the Tomb Kings. The Tomb Kings are a faction in the Warhammer Fantasy universe that are based on the ancient Egyptian civilization risen from the dead to reclaim their former glory. They are ruled by powerful kings who wield the power of the sands to command legions of undead warriors and monsters. The Society of Tomb Kings is based on a strict hierarchical structure, with the kings at the top and the lower classes of undead at the bottom. The kings are revered as godlike beings and their will is law. The Tomb Kings are also known for their obsession with the preservation of their ancient culture and the restoration of their former empire. In terms of aesthetic, the Tomb Kings have a distinct Egyptian theme, with their armies featuring chariots, sphinxes, and other iconic Egyptian creatures. They are also adorned with ornate armor and headdresses, adorned with gold and jewels to reflect their status. The playstyle of the Tomb Kings is focused on the use of powerful magic and a mix of ranged and melee units. Their armies are comprised of a variety of undead units including archers, spearmen, and powerful monsters such as the Necrosphinx. The Tomb Kings also have access to powerful spells which can be used to heal their undead minions or unleash devastating attacks on their enemies. One of the standout units in the Tomb Kings is the Necrosphinx, a massive creature with powerful melee attacks and a devastating roar that can shatter the morale of nearby enemies. The Tomb Kings also have access to powerful constructs such as the War Sphinx, which are giant leonine statues that wade through the ranks of their foes, crushing them underfoot as if they were nothing more than bothersome insects. The activities of the Tomb Kings are focused on the restoration of their ancient empire and the preservation of their culture. They are known to launch raids on nearby settlements to reclaim lost artifacts and scrolls, and to expand their armies by reanimating the dead. They are sometimes considered a neutral force as they have a deep hatred for the forces of chaos, who they see as corrupting the influences of the world. And that concludes our journey through the many major factions of Warhammer Fantasy. As we've seen, from the Honourable Knights of Bretonnia to the dark and twisted forces of chaos, each faction brings its own unique strengths, weaknesses and playstyles to the battlefield. Whether you prefer the elite armies of the High Elves or the horde tactics of the Skaven, there is a faction for every type of player, so gather your miniatures, strategize your army compositions and prepare for epic battles that will determine the fate of the old world. I hope this has helped you better understand the rich lore and gameplay mechanics of each faction in Warhammer Fantasy. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, I am considering doing a follow-up for all of the minor factions in Warhammer Fantasy battles, so let me know if that's something that you would like to see. And please be sure to drop this video a like if you enjoyed it, and to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. If you'd like to support the channel, the very best way you can do that is through Patreon or YouTube members. Speaking of which, thank you very much to our patrons, Alithanar and Sido Kuro Khan. You help make all of this possible. And lastly, may your armies be victorious and your battles be filled with glory and honour. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.